All right, so have you ever wondered if screens are really bad for your eyes?
Mm,
I think most people have at some point.
yeah.
So today we're going to do a deep dive on this topic with help from this article
Okay.
called Are Screens Really Harmful to Eyesight?
Interesting.
And it has insights from Alicia Torrelia, who's like this top researcher
Okay.
at INSERM,
Oh, good.
which is a French medical research institute.
Interesting.
So she's going to help us kind of go through all the facts,
Okay.
all the myths
Yeah.
surrounding screens and eyesight.
It's definitely a hot topic for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, screens are like everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
And one of the first things the article talks about
Okay.
is just how hard it is to actually prove
Hmm.
that screens are directly harming our vision.
So it's not a simple answer, like yes or no.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Everyone uses screens like so differently
It is true.
for different amounts of time,
Yeah.
at different times a day.
Hmm.
And it's really hard to isolate the impact of the screens themselves
That makes sense.
from all those other factors.
Well, one thing that always comes up when we talk about screens and eye health is blue light.
Right.
Does the article spend a lot of time on that?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, because, LEDs, which is the light source in pretty much all our devices, emit a bunch of blue light.
Right.
And that blue light is on like the shorter wavelength end of the visible light spectrum.
Okay.
And it's considered to be the most like harsh on our eyes.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that our eyes aren't really designed to handle that much blue light,
Yeah.
especially at night.
Especially at night. Yeah.
All right.
So, human vision evolved to work in daylight, moonlight,
Right.
with our retinas becoming more sensitive in low light.
Yeah.
So when you're staring at a screen
Yeah.
late at night,
Right.
all that blue light's basically telling your brain it's still daytime,
So our phones are messing with our internal clocks.
pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what we call circadian rhythm disruption.
Hmm.
And messing with that rhythm doesn't just mean you're tired the next day.
Oh.
It's actually linked to some serious health issues.
Like what?
Well, studies have shown that chronic circadian rhythm disruption
Okay.
increases your risk for things like heart disease,
Wow.
diabetes,
Hmm.
even some types of cancer.
I had no idea it was connected to all that.
Yeah, it really throws off your hormones.
So it sounds like we really got to be careful about how much blue light we get, especially at night.
Definitely.
The article even uses this idea of light capital,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting. It's kind of like sun capital for our skin.
Right.
So, just like you got to be careful about how much sun you get.
Exactly.
Our eyes have a limited amount of light capital
Right.
that can be depleted over time.
Especially by blue light.
And it sounds like it just builds up over time.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we're scrolling through Instagram, we're using up that light capital.
Basically, yeah.
And this is especially scary for kids, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because their eyes are still developing.
Their lenses are clearer,
Right.
so they're more sensitive to the blue light.
Now that's a scary thought.
Yeah,
So we've talked about blue light and sleep
right.
and maybe damaging our eyes over time.
Mm-hmm.
But what about like more immediate eye problems?
Right.
Does the article talk about that?
Yeah, it does mention age-related macular degeneration,
Okay.
or AMD,
Right.
which affects central vision,
Mm-hmm.
and research is still going on.
Okay.
But there is some concern that all this exposure to blue light
Right.
throughout our lives
Yeah.
could be increasing that risk.
But don't our eyes have some kind of natural protection against blue light?
Well, yeah, as we age,
Okay.
the lenses of our eyes naturally start to yellow,
Okay.
and that filters out some blue light.
So it's more protection for adults than for kids.
Right, exactly.
So it's almost like younger generations are starting out with less light capital to begin with.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it.
Okay, blue light's pretty alarming.
Yeah.
But what about myopia?
Hmm.
I feel like I keep hearing that nearsightedness is becoming more common,
Yeah.
especially in kids.
You're right to be concerned about that.
Okay.
Rates are going up all over the world.
Really?
In fact, in South Korea, up to 73% of young people between 12 and 18 are myopic.
73%?
Yeah, it's a huge number.
That's a lot of people.
It is.
Why is it so high?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of things going on,
Okay.
but some experts think there's a link between all this screen time
Right.
and myopia.
Mm-hmm.
They've actually done studies on animals
Okay.
and found that blue light might actually cause myopia.
Oh, wow.
And interestingly, red light seems to do the opposite.
Really?
But of course, animal studies don't always translate to humans,
Right.
so more research is definitely needed.
So blue light could be making myopia worse,
Potentially.
and red light could be helping?
It seems that way.
I wonder if we'll see red light therapy for myopia. becoming a thing.
Could be.
But it sounds like we're still figuring out all the ways light affects our vision.
We are.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to learn.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about solutions.
Right.
I know there are all kinds of products out there,
Okay.
like blue light filters, special glasses
Right.
that claim to protect our eyes. Does the article talk about those at all?
It does.
Okay.
And you might be surprised to hear that it's pretty skeptical of them.
Really?
Yeah.
But don't they reduce blue light exposure?
They do, but there's some debate about how well they actually work.
Oh, okay.
Like, they might reduce some blue light, but it's usually not a lot. Just like 10 to 25%.
So maybe not the protection they're making it out to be?
Right. And Alicia Torrelia,
Okay.
the author of the article, it's a good point.
Okay.
She says these products might be giving people a false sense of security and make them want to spend even more time looking at screens.
So it's like thinking you can just lay out in the sun all day because you're wearing sunscreen.
Exactly.
It helps, but it's not a free pass.
Right.
So relying on these products alone could backfire.
It could.
And we might end up doing more harm than good.
It's definitely a possibility.
So it sounds like they're not a magic bullet.
Nope.
Protecting our eyes takes a more holistic approach.
I think so.
Okay, so if we can't just wear blue light glasses all the time,
Right.
what can we actually do to protect our eyes?
Well, the good news is there are a bunch of things you can do
Okay.
to lower the risk from screen use
Okay.
without giving up technology completely.
Okay, lay it on me.
Okay, so one simple thing is the 20-20-20 rule.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
I have, but I'll be honest, I don't always follow it.
Oh, yeah.
Can you remind me how it works?
Yeah, so every 20 minutes, you look away from your screen
Okay.
and focus on something at least 20 feet away
Okay.
for at least 20 seconds.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it just gives your eye muscles a break
Okay.
from focusing up close all the time.
Like a little vacation for your eyes.
Exactly.
Okay. And speaking of giving your eyes a break,
Yeah,
remember to blink.
it's important.
Don't we do that automatically?
Well, you'd think so.
Yeah.
But we actually tend to blink less when we're staring at screens.
Really?
And that can lead to dry eyes,
Oh.
irritated eyes.
So all those times I feel like my eyes are burning?
Right.
It could be from not blinking enough.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
So try to be more mindful of it,
Okay.
especially when you're looking at screens.
Okay.
And if your eyes are always dry, you might want to try some artificial tears,
Okay.
especially if you're in a dry environment.
Right, like an office with AC.
Exactly.
Those are some good, easy changes.
Yeah.
But what about our screens themselves? Can we change anything there?
You can definitely adjust the brightness and contrast.
Okay, so make it not too bright, not too dim.
Exactly.
Okay.
You want a level that's comfortable
Right.
and matches the lighting around you.
Okay.
And you can also change the color temperature.
Color temperature.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever messed with that.
A lot of devices have a night mode setting,
Okay.
or like a blue light filter,
Right.
and it makes the screen warmer,
Okay.
more yellow,
Right.
especially in the evening,
Okay.
to reduce that blue light exposure.
Right, so we can sleep better.
Exactly.
You know, I actually like that warmer setting, even during the day.
Yeah.
It just feels easier on my eyes.
Yeah, a lot of people find that reducing blue light throughout the day helps with eye strain and fatigue.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
What about font size?
Oh, yeah, that's important too.
Okay.
Make sure it's big enough
Right.
so you're not squinting
Right.
or straining to read,
Okay, so bigger is better.
pretty much.
Okay.
And this one might surprise you,
Okay.
but your posture matters too.
Posture.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about eye.
It's all connected.
Okay.
If you're hunching over your screen, that can lead to eye strain,
Right.
headaches,
Oh, wow.
neck and back pain.
Okay, so good posture helps our eyes and our back.
It does. It's all about ergonomics.
Two birds, one stone.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one last thing.
Okay.
Even though all these tips are helpful,
Yeah.
the best thing you can do
Hmm.
is to be mindful of your total screen time.
That's a hard one.
It
The
is.
screens are everywhere.
Yeah.
I spend way too much time looking at them.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
It's just the world we live in.
Right.
But even if we can't get rid of screen time entirely,
Yeah.
we can at least make choices to reduce it
Right.
and balance it out with other things.
Like going outside.
Exactly.
Okay.
Spending time outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
especially in natural light.
Yeah.
It's good for your mental health,
Right.
your physical health, and your eye health.
That's great.
Yeah. There are actually studies
Okay.
that show that kids who spend more time outside
Mm-hmm.
are less likely to get myopia.
So getting kids to put down their devices
Yeah.
and go play outside
Mm-hmm.
could actually help protect their vision.
It could.
That's great news for parents.
And it's not just for kids.
Right.
We all benefit from taking breaks from screens
Mm,
and spending time in nature.
it's a good message.
It is.
So we've got the 20-20-20 rule,
Right.
blinking more,
Mm-hmm.
adjusting our screen settings,
Yeah.
using bigger fonts,
Right.
having good posture,
Important.
and getting outside more.
Yeah.
It's like a combination of simple habits
Right.
and just being mindful of our technology.
I think so.
Yeah,
It's all about finding that balance.
right. And those are all great tips
Mm.
for managing screen time and
Yeah.
protecting our eyes now. But
Right.
what about the long-term health of our eyes in this digital world?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
We've been talking about all these risks. Right.
But it feels like we're just scratching the surface
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to those long-term effects,
Yeah.
especially for people who've grown up with screens.
Right. Like their whole lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What should we be thinking about as we go forward?
I think the biggest challenge is that technology keeps changing.
Yeah, that's true.
And so do our screen habits.
Mm.
So what might seem fine today
Oh, yeah.
could have consequences later on.
So it's like we're doing this big experiment
Kind of, yeah.
on ourselves.
And we don't even know the results yet.
So what can we do while we wait for more research?
Well, we can't just do nothing.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
education is really important here.
Okay.
We need to start talking about healthy screen habits early,
Yeah.
just like we talk to kids about healthy eating,
Right.
exercise.
So make it part of our culture.
Exactly. And
Awesome.
it's not just about less screen time.
Right.
It's about how we use screens, setting boundaries,
Yeah.
balancing screen time with other activities, especially things that get us moving.
Right. And off screens.
We talked about being outdoors
Yeah.
for our physical and mental health,
Mhm.
but it sounds like it's good for our eyes, too.
It is. And remember those studies we talked about?
Yeah,
About myopia
right.
and how being outside seems to protect against it?
Yeah.
There's more and more evidence
Mm-hmm.
that natural light and the visual stimulation of being outdoors
Okay.
could be really important for eye development.
Like, our eyes need time in the real world.
I think so.
It makes me think that maybe all those times our parents told us to go play outside,
Right.
they were onto something.
Maybe they were.
Well, I think even though we don't have all the answers,
Yeah,
the message is pretty clear.
it is.
We need to be balanced with technology
Yeah.
and think about our well-being.
Mm.
Listen to our bodies.
Right.
Take breaks
Important.
and not let screens take over our lives.
I agree.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening conversation. No pun intended.
I see what you did there.
We've learned that the relationship between screens and our eyes is complicated,
Yeah,
and there's still so much we don't know.
that's true.
But we also learned there are things we can do to protect our eyes.
Now and in the future.
It's about being aware of the risks,
Yeah.
making good choices,
Right.
and developing healthy habits.
It's all about taking care of ourselves.
Exactly, in this digital age.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has given you something to think about and maybe even inspired you to change some of your screen habits.
I hope so.
Remember, knowledge is power.
It is.
And the more we understand about how technology impacts our bodies,
Right.
the better choices we can make
For ourselves.
for ourselves and future generations.
Absolutely.
So until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring,
Keep learning.
keep diving deep.